Good morning. Happy Saturday. Um, so I'll start with an update. I had to skip my workout yesterday. I uh, I was really busy throughout the day, and then we went on a social dinner last night at a friend's place, and a play date for my daughter and their son. So I never really got to it, but I will today, later on, and I'm going to do my 50 minutes like I normally do, and hopefully all is good and the pounds start coming off soon. So the last video, I mentioned that I was going to have a topic the next time around, and I do. Um, this time, I would really like to talk about social acceptance. This is an idea that everyone strives for in one way or another, um, but people who grew up being heavy or obese, um, social acceptance is something that we have always strived and desperately desired after, but it is one of the hardest things for us to obtain. I could go on ranting and raving about this despicable nature of media influences, but that topic's pretty much been done to death. Um, Everyone knows that TV, movies, magazines, and music industry are all about physical perfection. Oftentimes, they focus more on the idea of image more than talent. The truth of the matter is that our culture has now been shaped into thinking that people that are heavy or obese are an array of different stereotypes. I will list a few. Um, a lot of people get the idea that heavy people are gross, that we smell bad, that we sweat constantly, that we frequently burp or pass wind, or that we have terrible hygiene in general. Another common stereotype is that we're always eating. It's not true. The people that are extremely obese that have been on TV um, have an exceptionally large food intake, but this is definitely not a typical behavior. The second part of this stereotype is that we're always stuffing our face with junk food, with chips, pop, cake, candy, or anything else that you can think of. The last stereotype that I'll mention is that we're all lazy. That people think that we just don't want to do anything. That's just simply not true either. We want to be active and do all the other things that more fit people do, but we won't or can't for a variety of reasons. And a lot of it comes back to acceptance. None of us are really born with the fear of social interaction. It's something that is learned. When I was really young, I don't remember being afraid of people. Ask my mom, she can tell you. Um, I can remember one of the first times I felt I was really self-conscious about my size. The topic of my weight had been brought up before amongst other kids, I'm sure, but I don't really remember it. Um, the first time I really remember feeling terrible about the way that I look, and I talked about this a bit in my first video. I was around 8. I was with a family member, and they said to me, "You kids are getting so fat, I'm embarrassed to be seen with you." That was pretty much a direct quote. I remember that moment, my heart sank to the ground. I felt like I weighed a million pounds, both emotionally and physically. Um, I thought to myself that if this family member was so ashamed of who I am and they don't want to be near me, um, and that family member couldn't accept me, then who else would? After that day, I remember thinking for a long time what other family members thought this of me. And eventually, with the increasing of bullying at school, it changed into being conscious of myself around everybody. Um, uh, there are not many people that have been in my life that truly accepted me as a person. The handful of people, you know who you are, and you are the ones who gave me real love throughout my young life. I have known and hung around with many people and many different types of people, but something that was common amongst all of them, not a single one valued me in any real way. Um, to most all of them, I was merely an acquaintance or a convenience for them. This goes for some of the people that I had longer friendships with too. Um, I was the one that people called when they had no other option. I was never really anyone's bestie, BFF, or whatever the kids say these days. Um, Even the ones that I thought were my best friends or potential good friends, none of them really seemed to have any issue with dumping me off as soon as they felt like it. Um, when I was 17, I was friends with this guy. We hung out every day. I helped him move. We went out shopping, random drives around town, um, hanging out with people till late at night. We were great friends um, for like a year or so. And then one day he stopped calling, stopped answering my calls. And I probably called him like 5 times, not all at once, mind you. And when he finally answered, all he really had to say was that he didn't want to hang out with me anymore because that was bad for his image, that no one wanted to hang out with him because he spent time with me. He went on a list of reasons of why he didn't want to hang out with me, but most of them were because he was ashamed of me. Again, my heart sank, thinking, why? What's so wrong with me? And then again, from ages 17 to 21, I was really good friends with another guy. We did everything you can imagine together. We even drove across the country together. It wasn't until after he stopped answering my phone calls and my messages that I realized how awful he really was to me. Um, he was fairly athletic, or probably more than fairly. He was a pretty athletic guy, anyways. I always wanted to do flips and fight and climb trees and, all sorts of things. Um, and when I couldn't or wouldn't do what he wanted me to, he would laugh at me. And, he'd say, oh, you just got to try. And it's like, well, when you're this size, if you try to do a cartwheel, you're probably going to break your arm. So I kind of knew better than to listen. But he would always laugh at me when I wouldn't do it. Or if I tried and failed, he would laugh even harder. He basically used me as a punching bag that he would call practice. Sometimes I think he only liked hanging out with me because he thought I was funny, and not always in the good way. He always laughed at my expense. So again, with the convenience factor, um, these are a few examples of the lifetime of bullying and rejection. I fight with myself daily between the true desire for a close friendship and my complete distaste for even trying. I have tried so many times to connect with people, but the connection has never been returned. I struggle every day with the idea of just giving up altogether on making a connection with anyone again. Recently, I have met some people through my daughter's school friends, and things are going really well. I struggle to open myself up entirely, but in this case, I don't think it's entirely necessary to do that. But I'm going to remain hopeful for the future, anyways. I know a majority of people like me will have similar stories to these, and people wonder why we don't go out. People think we like staying indoors away from people. Humans are incredibly social creatures, and logically, it makes no sense that a person would choose to seclude themselves. I have a theory that we are what we're made into. If everyone would just accept each other for what they look like, don't you think that would inspire more people to go out? Um, if people didn't make us feel like total sacks of excrement, then we wouldn't be so ashamed and hateful of ourselves. So unless you take the route that I am and have your gym at home, then inactivity is really your only option. Um, Judgy people blame us for not doing anything to help ourselves. But then when we go out, they give us sideways glances and nasty comments. Sometimes even say them out loud. So who's really to blame here? The person suffering from guilt and shame, or the person that's making us hate our bodies in the first place? Some people seriously believe that bullying is what we need to get ourselves healthy. But truly what we need is acceptance. We need love, support, encouragement. We don't need 1,000 people telling us how unhealthy we are. how our choices are leading us to a lonely and early death. We don't need people giving us dictations on how to live our lives. Most importantly, what we don't need is a bunch of people who think that they're superior to us. Them people almost instinctually think that they're superior to us in every way. There are lots of people who don't, but there's a lot of people who say they don't, but really think that they are good for, we're good for their ego, because we make them look thinner, brighter, happier, and uses us in any ways that they see fit. As you can tell, I have some trust issues. Um, I think the only way to get acceptance is to begin to accept ourselves and learn who we really are as people. And not rely on other people to tell us who we should be or what we should look like. I know that even when I lose weight, I will still be fat, seen as fat by the public, simply because I will never be a size 5. That's just not the way I'm built. And I accept that. That's fine with me. I will always be outside the world's definition of beauty. Um, I'll never be the model type, but that doesn't mean I can't strive for the best in my life. Um, I know I can do better with myself and than what I am now. I just have to be strong enough to get to it. So that's what I mean by accepting yourself. Know who you are and know where you can become the best version of yourself that you can possibly be. I'm guaranteeing no matter what weight I become, I will always have this version of me to fight with. I will never look in the mirror and be 100% satisfied. But who is? The trick is knowing you're doing your best, and you will know when you are not. Um, you don't have to convince anyone else because they're not going to do it for you. They can't do it for you. The only one who can do anything is you. Um, we are ever changing, ever evolving into ourselves. As long as we're going in the right direction, you will become more confident, and confidence rules out. I hope my thoughts came through okay and not a bunch of garble. Um, I'm not really sure what else I can say on this topic except for acceptance of yourself is more important than any acceptance that you'll get from anybody else. And I'm sure most of you have heard that before. But it's a hard thing to understand because we want to be accepted by other people so much. And, you know, if we didn't feel like we were being ostracized by society because of this, then we wouldn't have anything to fight against. Life would be much easier, but that's not the way the world is anymore. It used to be that big people were celebrated because it meant that we were wealthy, but that's just not the truth anymore. Um, People think skin and bones are the way to be, and there is no fighting that anymore. So realizing who you are as a person and accepting who you are as a person is more important than anything. And when you do finally accept who you are, you'll realize that your flaws are a part of you, and if you really dislike them, even if it's not because you don't like you want other people to like you, even if it's not for that, but you realize where you need to improve yourself or what'll make you happier, and you just go ahead and do that, and it might take some time, it might take a lot of changes in your life, but if it's something that you really want, you'll get it eventually, and just keep trying. So that's all I really have to say for today. So I hope you guys have a great weekend, and I will have another topic again soon. And take care out there.